How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Top Buy, Top Sell here in the A1 Edge Finder, where we are going over our number one buy and our number one sell currently listed here according to the Edge Finder. But of course, before we get into that, we have two things that we need to take a look at: COT data and retail sentiment. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So here we are in our COT data page, and COT was updated on Friday. If you're unfamiliar, COT data gets updated every Friday, so we have new COT data for us to take a look at here. And I'm looking at it, and so far it looks very similar to what we've seen. CHF, JPY, and AUD and CAD, so the Swiss franc, the yen, the Aussie dollar, and the Canadian dollar, all still very short according to institutional traders, with the Swiss franc being the most short out of all of them at 84%. Now, gold and oil for the past couple of weeks have been our most long assets. That is no longer the case. The JP225 has taken that spot at 79.93% long, followed by gold and oil. So still very bullish on both gold and oil, but we're seeing the same thing that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. There's really no currency that institutional traders are bullish on at the moment. In fact, the most bullish currency out of any of them that we have listed in the Edge Finder is the South African Rand, ZAR, just sitting at 51% long. The dollar, for example, is 49.83% long. So all of these currencies, the euro, the dollar, the ZAR, and not even really the pound is favored over 60% short. So when it comes to currencies right now, institutional traders are shorting almost everything. And if they're not shorting it, they're not really long it either, because they're not really favored long the euro or the dollar or the ZAR for that matter. So indices and commodities right now long by institutional traders, but not currencies. They are shorting currencies at the moment. So that's interesting to see. Latest weekly COT filings. This is my favorite thing to take a look at because it compares last week's COT data with the most current and up-to-date COT data, and it looks for changes. So, for example, I know that the pound has been on a crazy swing here recently from institutional traders. Each week, it seems that new information comes out. Institutional traders are getting more and more short on the pound. This week was no different. We can see the changes in long contracts and the changes in short contracts here from last week to this week. And what we saw was a close of 23,000 long positions on the pound and 11,511 new short positions opened on the pound. So big shift in sentiment here on the British pound. At the top, though, JP225 took over our number one long spot. It was held by gold. It is now the JP225. And we can see that even though it wasn't a huge change here, 278 long contracts open, 1,055 short contracts closed on the JP225. That was just enough to edge it out in front of gold. Let's take a look at retail positioning now. We'll start off with major currency pairs only. And here we go. So, market analysis, free trading courses, Edge Finder data, and special offers. What do these things all have in common? They're all available for you right now inside of our free Discord. You can click the link down in the description below to join the free Discord today and get access to all of this and more. Stay up to date with all the latest trading information and A1 content. And if you want to upgrade to our Gold VIP Discord that features every single trade that Trader Nick and our other professional analysts take, you can find the links for that in the description as well. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today. Pound dollar, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar are all getting favored on the long side by retail traders. That is a bearish indicator for us. Whereas USD JPY, USD CAD, and USD CHF are all favored on the short side by retail traders, and that is a bullish indicator for us. Take out minor currency pairs now. So they're not long a lot of minor currency pairs, just NZD CAD and Euro Pound. Those are both bearish indicators. But look at this huge list of stuff that they are shorting. Retail traders, day traders as a whole, over 60% of them are shorting all of these pairs here. And if all of those are getting shorted by, the massive crowd of day traders, then we're definitely taking that into consideration as a bullish bias there. Let's finish up with indices. I'm going to add metals, crypto, and commodities. And there we go. So long all of these things here, short the S&P 500 and the German 30. Now let's head on into top setups and remove these neutral biases. We have no very bullish biases today, but we do have a very long list of bullish biases. We have a couple bearish biases here and then one very bearish bias. It's NZD USD, which has been sitting at a very bearish bias for a while at this point, but we'll still take a look at it because it is still our most short or most heavily bearish asset out of all of them with that minus 13 score. That is a pretty low score. USD CAD though is new to the mix with a plus 8 score. That is our most bullish asset, the highest number, plus 8. So let's go ahead and start with USD CAD. So I'm going to head into data scanners, FX majors, and find USD CAD right there. And here we go. So USD CAD has that bullish bias, plus 8 score. COT data is a 0 or neutral score, and retail sentiment is a score of plus 1. So taking a look at those numbers right over here. So as we already know, the US dollar is pretty much 50-50 in the eyes of COT traders. I mean, it really can't get much closer to 50-50 than that. But the Canadian dollar, however, is favored on the short side from COT traders. Now, you might be wondering, why is this a 0 or a neutral score? Well, it's because this recent change is positive, so it kind of cancels out in terms of our scoring. We have positive change, as well as a favored short here, so that comes out to a neutral score. Retail sentiment, though, is a score of plus 1. We can see that day traders are heavily short on USD CAD right now, 83% of them shorting USD CAD. That is a big plus 1 score for us there. Seasonality is a score of -1. We can see here in the month of May, it is the very first day of May, but we can see that historically speaking, in the month of May over the last 10 years, USD CAD does actually tend to trade lower. Our trend reading though is a score of +1, and we can take a look at the score indicator here, and we can see that USD CAD has been getting a bullish bias for a while. In fact, it even jumped up into very bullish territory here for a couple days before coming back down, but staying bullish nonetheless. It did drop into a neutral territory for a couple of days, but since then has moved back up into the bullish territory. But let's take a look at price forecast and see what it really looks like on the daily chart. So we're going to find USD CAD here, right there. And here we go. So this is what USD CAD has looked like so far in the month of April. We got data all the way back to April 12th. It was on a sharp, steep uptrend and then finally gave back some of those gains. It ranged out here for about a week. And from yesterday to today, actually the past couple of days, it has had a big jump in price. Price forecast also predicts that it's going to continue to be the case. So we'll finish up with our fundamental data here. We have inflation, GDP, and services PMI all with 0 or neutral scores. Interest rates is a -1 score, but manufacturing PMI, retail sales, employment change, and unemployment rate are all +2 scores. Let's take a look at those numbers right down here. So GDP growth in the US right now, 3.4% compared to 0.2% in Canada. Manufacturing PMI, -1.1 compared to -5.9. Retail numbers 1 compared to -1.4. Inflation in the US is 3.5% compared to 2.9% in Canada. Unemployment 3.8% compared to 6.1%. And interest rates on the US dollar right now are 5.5% compared to just 5% in Canada. So there we go. There's all the data and numbers backing up that +8 bullish bias on USD CAD. Now, the other pair that we said that we were going to take a look at is one that we've been talking about for a while because it has just been so incredibly bearish for such a long time. It's NZD USD, very bearish bias, score of -13. COT data is a score of -2, and retail sentiment a score of -1. So we can see here again, US dollar pretty much 50-50 from COT traders, but the New Zealand dollar is favored on the short side. Not only is it favored on the short side, but the recent change was also negative. That's coming up as a big -2 score there. Retail sentiment -1 score. We can see that 86% of day traders right now are long NZD USD. Our trend rating is a score of -2. We can see just how bearish this thing has been. It's been super bearish for a minute, but let's take a look at it in the price forecast. Let's get a look at that daily chart to see how it's really been trending. So NZD USD, there it is. And we can see that this thing has been, well, earlier on in the month, it had a nice little downward trend before it just kind of ranged here. It made a little bit of a move to the upside, but more recently has dropped all the way back down to these initial lows, and price forecast does predict that it's going to continue to move lower. Finish up with our fundamental data. We have interest rates as a +1 score, GDP and services PMI are neutral scores, and inflation, manufacturing PMI, retail sales, unemployment change, and unemployment rate are all -2 scores. Take a look at those numbers right down here. So GDP growth in New Zealand is 0.1% compared to 3.4% in the US. Manufacturing PMI -10.5 compared to -1.1. Retail sales numbers -0.9 compared to 1. Inflation in New Zealand is 4% compared to 3.5% in the US. Unemployment percentage 4.3% compared to 3.8%. And lastly, interest rates on both the New Zealand dollar and the US dollar are 5.5%. So there we go. There is all the data and numbers backing up that very bearish bias -13 score here on NZD USD. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want the Edge Finder for yourself, you can find it down in the links down in the description below or on our website, a1trading.com. And don't forget that if you want a discount on the Edge Finder at checkout, you can use promo code A1YT.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.